listening to the Hometown Losers, the St. Louis Sports Podcast, with Josh, Adam, and OJ.
Hey everybody, welcome back here to the Hometown Losers Podcast. I am joined as always by my co-host and Adam and OJ. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Hey. Glad to be here. How's it going?
It's going pretty good with me.
On my end. Yeah, sorry, OJ.
Oh, I thought you
on you there. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm all over the place. I apologize, but OJ, it's good.
We're all here. We're all good.
Right, exactly.
Here to talk some sports.
OJ coming up with heat, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's go ahead and jump into our 36th session. Kind of crazy, as I told you guys both before we started the podcast. I have completed a full notebook of notes for this podcast. That's crazy. I never even did that in school. So that tells you, been doing this. We've been doing this for a long time and have been paying attention at least. Hopefully, good grades for the test.
How fitting that our 37th episode session will be on a brand new page, or a brand new slate, so to speak. So there you go.
It's 37 in a row.
In a row, we're gonna have 37 sessions in a row. It will be indeed.
God, I wouldn't. Yeah, we're gonna have a 24-hour podcast on.
Oh my God. Yeah, you probably could do that because you're an insomniac. I, on the other hand, will probably be passed out after like the first 3. So I'll be in the background snoring. You'll still be, doing your thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think out of the 3 people, maybe I'm the only one that would be able to stumble across the finish line, mostly due to the insomnia. I think to your point, Adam, you'd probably fall asleep, and OJ would just be like, "I'm not doing that."
Exactly.
Yeah, there, right.
No, just that.
All right, guys, let's dive in. Let's talk about the Cardinals here. So I'm just going to go through it real quick. We pretty much all know, like, nothing's really changed here, but they're 67-86, 20 games back in the Central, 12.5 games out of the last wild card. They're 14th out of the 15 teams in NL, and 26 out of 30 in MLB, and they are officially eliminated.
Whoa!
So
there you go. We don't have to get tattoos. How exciting!
I know. As we talked about last week. So by the way, I definitely talked about that with my stepdad at dinner. At a family dinner, I was talking about how I'm going to get a tattoo, and that, like, if the Cardinals win, it's going to be a neck tattoo. And he looked at me, he's like, "That's stupid, but that's pretty funny." I'm like, "I know." Yeah. But
well,
it's yeah, exactly. At least I understood what we were going for there. And obviously, it would have been great. Like, honestly, they would have deserved that tattoo. They deserve that blank space. See what I did there, Adam, specifically? Yeah, which that's neither here or there. We're not going to talk about that right now with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, because that just seems to be
news in the NFL, apparently.
Yeah, it's just dominating the headlines. I'm like, he came on Pat McAfee's show and talked about it, but apparently he didn't deny it. And so I'm like, is this like a real thing? But apparently they really have hung out like 2 times, and then they're kind of like keeping it casual, like to hang out. But apparently, like, one of them was a hangout and one of them was a date, according to like people.
Well, apparently, if you hang out with a chick
like,
2 times, apparently, like, everybody freaks out. And I guess now they're planning the wedding, after just chilling for 2 times. Apparently, that's now the new rule, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways, let's get back to the Cardinals. So the Cardinals obviously have been eliminated from the playoffs. It's a stark contrast to what we had at the beginning of the year for hope for this team. We really thought that potentially, I believe that all 3 of us here on the podcast, we thought they were going to win the Central, but maybe not necessarily make a real big dent into the playoffs.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah. OJ, wasn't that kind of your consensus, or do you believe this team on paper?
I think they should have been a really good team. They should have won a lot more games than they did. And I think it was more a matter of the rule change plus, well, a lot of things. But I think that they could have won a lot more games if they had more synergy as far as their like overall strategy on trying to win games. Like, I think they kind of had it the last few years and they completely threw it out the window this year for some reason. And I think it made it work like less than the sum of its parts. So
And I do think that the baseball classic did hinder, the off season, getting teams ready.
That could be the reason, but I'm not sure.
A lot of contributing factors for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot, not one big one, but a lot of
trotting
smaller ones.
fucking Burleson out there in left field, and that was just awful.
I mean,
how long did we have Burleson in left, Walker in right, when Walker was like still terrified of being in the outfield at that? And you have like Newt Barr in the center, who's not even a natural center fielder. So like all of our pitchers got fucked early in the year because nobody was running shit down. Everything's dropping in. If you get it out of the infield, it's dropping. Like it was terrible. I can't believe they thought
that happened specifically at the game Friday night that Am and I went to with Palacios. Made a great diving catch, but it should not have been a diving catch because he got a very late jump on the ball. And I'm like, dude, so me as an outfielder in softball, I looked at, and I get it. I'm in the stands. It's a lot, I'm not looking up in the lights and stuff like that, but I'm sitting there going, dude, like, how did you not immediately start running towards where that ball was going to be? Like, it was just so odd to me. I was like,
I mean, he made the catch, but it was very unnecessary. Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to judge on TV because you don't get to see the outfielder until the camera pans away to follow the ball.
Right.
So like
we were at the game,
you see him running by then. That's what I'm saying. When you're at the game, that's why it's hard to judge outfield defense from your couch. Like you need to get angles of the outfielder as the ball's being hit.
Yeah.
And literally we're and we were literally dead center field as well.
Exactly.
I mean, you see the ball right as it's coming off the bat, as it's coming towards, going into left field, and you're watching his reaction. Yeah.
I mean, was he like that on a lot of flies out there, or was it just on a particular one? Or?
No, on that one, it was very obvious that he like didn't read it very well because he immediately started moving to like left center. He took like 2 steps to his left, and then he came back towards that position, and then had like dead sprint to be able to get a run onto it, to where it's kind of like sliding and attacking the ball. And I'm like, but that ball from the angle was definitely not even close to being center field. I thought it was going like tail into like being out of play on the third base side. And it was just like, you know what I mean? Like my reaction when I'm in the center field, especially since Adam and I have gone to several games in those seats, is that I tend to immediately, when the ball's popped up, especially if it's a high fly ball, or if it's going to be like a deep ball to the warning track, I immediately look at the outfielder. How is their body positioning? You know what I mean? Because like if they are, like lackadaisical and they're clear, like their backs to the home plate, it's gone. You know what I mean? Either they're trying to play it off the wall or something like that. But if they're making a competitive play, it's like, all right, cool. There might be something to this.
Right.
And that's definitely in that situation, that's exactly what I did. Was I immediately looked at Palacios, and I was able to track his footwork. Again, he moved left and then attacked the ball, and he had to make like a dead sprint. And I guess he thought that maybe Wynn or Arenado wasn't playing, so I can't even remember the name of the guy that was playing third base, who still didn't get a major league hit yet so far. I think he's like played in like 9 games or something like that. Hasn't had a major league hit. He did not, he didn't make a play on the ball either or whatever. So he's like, oh crap, I have to run to the ball. That's kind of what at least that I interpreted it as. And I'm like, but it wasn't like, it definitely wasn't like one of those like, okay, this is going to be like in the back of the infield. You know what I mean? Like on like the very like first blades of grass right outside the dirt. This was like clearly like your ball. So it is.
Yeah. June. I can't even pronounce his last name. Quiracuto.
Yeah.
Quiracuto.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was playing third
Something like
that. Last night he was playing. Yeah, because that was last night's game. Yeah. Quiracuto was playing third.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's not good, obviously. But it could be.
Whenever we saw that lineup and we saw that. Yeah, when we saw that lineup and we saw Edmund was out and we saw that that Arenado was out. Yeah. And I was like,
Well, reading the balls.
Like we already have a bunch of engineers.
Left or right field also. So like it can be kind of disorienting switching around. So I don't know, maybe that's what it is, but I don't know how he's played elsewhere. Because I do know that at one point though, Fangraphs had him, at least for this season, as having a foot greater than average jump for like a little while. Obviously not very many games played, but they said his jump was good. So I kind of thought he was getting a good jump on stuff. But he also earlier in the season he was playing in like center and right field primarily, I think. So maybe something like that. I don't.
Yeah, again, and it could have been one of those like one-offs where he got lost in the lights at first, and that's why he kind of like drifted to center to be able to even get an angle on the ball. And he's like, "Oh shit, this ball's not going as deep as I thought." It could have been one of those, but that's what it looked like. You know what I mean? At least he made the play. That's the biggest thing. It didn't cost runs or anything like that, but it still was kind of like, all right, you know. And but to your point, I feel like our outfield, which was funny because coming into this. I really like coming into the season. We talked a lot about the outfield and how it's kind of sort of a question mark, but also somewhat finalized, right? We felt that we were pretty good, understood our three that were going to be there, and we felt pretty well defensively as long as everybody can perform to the abilities we know them to be able to have. But obviously, that just fell flat on their face. You know what I mean? When it came to the season.
Yeah, exactly.
So interesting. But one Cardinal pitcher did get a massive win here, and for anybody that's been on a rock, Waino gets to 200 wins. This is a very big deal because the days of us when we grew up, when we got to see pitchers cross a 300 mark plateau, those days are kind of gone. The last person to do that was Randy Johnson back in 2009. So that is,
those days are
it's been
done
such a
for
long time.
sure.
Yeah, like there's so many analytics. There's too many pitchers. They don't go deep into games anymore. Hitters just do so much more work when it comes to video and stuff like that. I really do believe that 200 is now like the new 300. And to kind of put that in perspective here. So Wainwright, when he got 200 wins, there's only 4 other current players in the MLB that have over 200 wins. Justin Verlander 255, Greinke at 224, Scherzer at 214, and Kershaw at 209. Really, if you look at this, the only one out of those 5 pitchers, including Wainwright, that would have a chance at getting to 300 would be Kershaw. And the reason why is he's only 35. Like Verlander's 40, even though he's got 255, but he's 40. Greinke's 39, Scherzer's 39, like Kershaw's 35. So you would technically have like 5 more years if you look at that, but you're not getting 20 wins, in those 5 years anymore. Yeah, exactly. That's if you're extremely like you have to be pitching at a historic performance really for those next like 5 years. And it sounds like Clayton Kershaw's most likely going to be retired anyways. He's been injured for a lot this season.
I was going to say to get 300 wins, that's pretty damn amazing. I mean, you're talking absolute Hall of Famers, no doubt,
and put
some big names.
And put this in perspective. There's only one pitcher right now that is in Major League Baseball that is on pace to get to 200 wins, and that's Garrett Cole, who is not a bad pitcher. He is 33. He's got 143 wins. He averages 13 wins a year. So they're going to say it's going to take him about 5 to 6 years to do that. So that's like you're still pitching for like, and I think Garrett Cole has been in the league for 7 years or something like that already, or 7 or 8 years. But I mean, you're pretty much pitching your entire career up until you're 40 and then retiring, but you're like at 200 or just slightly over that.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think that
you think about Wainwright, right?
Yeah,
even if Wainwright hadn't missed any time due to injury, there's almost no way he would have gotten to 300 wins. It's just not possible this day.
Not anymore. No.
200 is becoming much less possible too.
They give them rest and everything else, and it's just the way things are compared to how things used to be. Yeah, they give more rest and everything, and so they just don't have as many starts. But you know what? That's because obviously the game has become increasingly harder. Over the years, and obviously those guys are pitching very aggressively, and so it takes a toll on their body, so their arms for sure. But I don't expect that we're going to see too many people be hitting 200 anytime soon, so at least we have something that, and I was going to say in the game that he pitched was just absolutely one of the best pitch games I have seen him pitch in a very long time. He looked like like I had a feeling like in my heart that was going to be the game because he was just so into that. Like you could just tell, the way he was pitching, he was so confident that night, and the way he's pitching, and like the whole team just sort of had that aura with them,
galvanized together.
And it was quite a pitcher's duel. I mean, I think that it ended up being 1-0. The only
he pitched 7 shutout innings in a 1-0 win.
Yeah,
That-
isn't
He
that
only gave
incredible?
up 4
that's
hits
for
in those
sure.
The
days.
one time, I don't know if anybody seen, but was watching, but the one time Ollie Marmol comes out, and everybody just boo, boo.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, and he was like, "Okay, I'm just talking to him, dude."
And
I
that's
People
what,
were
if you
flipping
saw
out.
his interview,
They're like,
and I watched Wainwright's interview, and they asked him about that specifically. He goes, "Did you think you were going to get the hook?" And he's like, "I thought maybe," but he came out and said, "You want this guy?" And I go, "Yeah, I think you should give him to me." And he goes, "Okay, cool. You're it for the inning." He just walked
"Yep,
back out.
yeah,"
Or
because
walked back to
everybody
the
was like
dugout.
ready to rip off Marmol's head at that point. They were like,
Yeah.
"Don't you dare
Yeah.
bring him out right now." So
Yeah, no shit.
I was really happy for him. That was an incredible game, and since we're not going to see any great moments really this year all that much, at least we got to see that, thankfully.
Yeah,
So,
we got to trick ourselves just like in the
Yeah, that
90s
was
Cardinals
awesome.
one. It was like, hey, we were great because we had Mark McGuire.
yeah, it was like one of those
Yeah.
moments like, oh, hey. I mean, honestly, that was like the one highlight. I mean, that was like the one thing that I was like, well, we obviously know we're not going to get anything out of this season. So at the very least, let's just hope that Waino can get 200 so that way he can retire on with that,
Be done with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted that pressure to be taken off of him. That way he kind of go out on top because, for a while there, it was like looking really, really shitty for a while. Like,
it
is
looked
he
really
actually going to
bleak,
be able
yeah.
to hit 200? And it kind of looked, and I didn't want him to go out and like kind of look embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You didn't want him to limp across, and especially it would have been really terrible if he would have finished at 199. And it would
Yeah.
my worst case scenario for him is what we talked about last week. He had, like we said, 3 official starts is what he's projected for, but they would probably make room for 4. Now that he's got it, there's really no reason. He probably will pitch the last game of the season.
Oh,
They'll put
yeah.
in some
They'll
other
give it to him
people.
for sure.
Yeah, they're going to give it to him,
Yeah.
but he was supposed to pitch 2 days before that anyway, so it doesn't matter. So they'll probably be like, all right, either put somebody in short rest, they go out and do it, or you'll just take somebody, put a 6th person in there. Who cares at this point, right? You're gonna give Wainwright the last game of the season, right?
You have to.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, you got nothing else going on, so why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah. My worst case scenario though was that he's sitting at 199 with again maximum of 4 opportunities, and he loses all 4. I would have been like,
Yeah.
man, for the Cardinals stretching to get you those opportunities and you still lose and you end at 199, I would have felt so bad for him.
Yeah, that would have sucked for sure.
Yeah, that would suck.
I was at least really happy.
I'd be
for him,
mad
for
at
sure.
the Cardinals, honestly.
Yeah,
it's like,
I would
can
be
we
as well.
not?
Like, are you fucking
It's
kidding
Exactly.
me?
That's the shitty part. Yeah, it's
It's
like
not like
all
you're
these.
playing a bunch of world beaters. It's not like you're playing
Yeah.
guys that you can't fucking beat.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Listen, the one thing that I love about Waino is how honest the guy is. Like, he's such a good guy, likes to play around, as we all know. He's very intense when it comes to specific questions. Obviously, so last year, he's like, is this the last year? And he's like, please stop asking me those questions, and got on people for that. But at the same time, like, he was very, like, I watched the entire interview that he had after the game, when it was like 15 minutes long, right? And he made a mention, I can't remember the question that was asked, but he was talking about it, about trying to get to 200, and like, he thought that maybe he had a chance to be able to do it last year because he was playing well. He's like, I lost a few really close games. He's like, and he immediately made a comment. He goes, but I was pitching pretty well last season. Most of those weren't my fault. Kind of like, he said it in a playful way, but like in a very obvious way, like, hey, that wasn't on me. That was either on the offense or the defense dropping the ball, but I pitched pretty well. And I feel like for Wainwright, that's kind of like the competitive. He's honest. He's never gonna like dog anybody out. He's not gonna call out names or anything like that. But he's also very realistic and be like, okay, cool. I know that wasn't me. Sucks because I'm not getting the win, but I know that wasn't me.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing wrong with that.
No. Yeah, and it's crazy to think too that he's only the 38th pitcher in NL history to be able to get to 200 win.
Yeah.
That's freaking crazy to me. As long as this game has been around. And he's only the 24th pitcher since 2000 as well, which is also very.
It's probably one of the very last ones we'll ever see as well. So,
yeah. How crazy is that though? And if you take a look at this, just the whole scheme of things, right? So our Pujols hit 700 home runs last year. That will never be done again. I firmly believe in my heart of hearts that unless there comes to be a prolific hitter that's like playing video game numbers, right? I don't think that ever is going to happen again. 700 home runs in a career, there's no way in today's modern baseball. And then the following year, we get to see a pitcher get to 200 wins. And last year too with the battery record too. Got to give that to
that's true.
Waino and Yachty. That one 100% will never be touched.
Never again.
The way that players get traded around, they don't stick around, injuries and stuff like that. There's absolutely no way that's ever going to happen again.
But
it's
pretty much as the end of the era for that, so to speak. Yeah, and we got to see all that in the past 2 seasons with the Cardinals, which is crazy to think. Yeah, all these records that will never be touched again, more than likely.
Yeah.
Let's take a
look here at the let's take a look at the offseason, and just taking a look at some potential targets that the Cardinals can go after. I think everybody here is in agreement that we definitely need some pitching and stuff like that. I got 5 names to talk about, but we can definitely talk about your guys because you guys probably have better players than I do, to be honest. OJ, I'm a little curious. Who do you have on your list here? Let's pick out the biggest one that you have on your list, and we can talk about that.
The Japanese guy Yamamoto, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's he's 24 this season, starting pitcher. So apparently he's gonna be coming over, and so you wouldn't have to lose a draft pick or anything if you signed him. So that's cool. A lot of teams will be in on him, so you have to spend. So that's really really depends where the Cardinals are gonna be at with what they're trying to pay. But to me, this is probably the best guy that you could get for just money. Like, he's been killing the Japanese league. And although I don't have any advanced stats on him because all I have here is a baseball reference to look at. So kind of older stats. But from what I've read, his stuff people think will really translate to MLB because they evaluate it based on like pitch shape and all that kind of stuff. They got pitching down to much more of a science than it used to be. So on top of him being incredible in Japan, he's supposed to be incredible here too. But he'll be the most money for sure. So, but I would like to get him. That if they got him, that would be incredible. And then I'd feel pretty good about that. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's not a name that I definitely was even aware of, but obviously that makes sense coming from the Japanese league. We've had a lot of pitchers that have had a lot of success coming from the Japanese league over here, specifically pitchers. Obviously, a few positional players and stuff like that, but a lot of pitchers for sure have come over here. Yeah.
Yeah. In the Japanese league, in the Pacific League last year, he had 1.68 ERA. And I don't have fucking FIP here, but yeah, he's basically been in the ones in ERA for the last 3 years. So,
I mean, is he only pitching 1 inning a game? Good Lord, that's ridiculous. Anybody else that I got on this list?
Let's see. I'm trying to find the innings pitched on. Oh, there it is. So let's see. In 2020, he only pitched 126 innings, 193. In 2020, wait, what? Sorry, 193 in 2021, 193 in 2022, and he's pitched thus far 150 this year, 157, something like that, total. So he puts miles on his arm. He's got some durability, kind of can eat some innings too, on top of being highly skilled. I'm telling you, dude, the amount of high-end Japanese pitchers, he's not the only one. There's a 30-year-old guy that's also a stud that is coming over that people want to get. But like I said, he's 30. This is the guy I would pick.
Adam, who do you got on your list?
I was going to say, I know that the Cardinals have been looking at pursuing Aaron Nola for sure, because he'll be coming up as a free agent after, this season. And I think that obviously we could, I think, afterwards, I don't see him re-signing with the Phillies. He'll be definitely out there shopping. Hopefully, the Cardinals are willing to open up their, the coffers, so to speak, and actually, be willing to, spend a little money as well, because we're going to have to. And I think they've realized that this season that, with performance that has been absolutely lackluster, you're seeing the fans just aren't showing up. I mean, they kind of just taken us for granted. So they're going to have to we're going to have to make some moves. Another name as well, I doubt that we're going to be able to land him, but that's Blake Snell. It sounds like he's wanting to return back to the Padres again, most likely, but we'll see. That's the name that's been floating around. Obviously, he'd be a great addition for us. He's obviously front runner for the Cy Young. So, and then one other name, and that was Eduardo Rodriguez. But the thing is that there was obviously the trade, or at least an attempted trade earlier this year with the Tigers to the Dodgers. He blocked it. However, they did sign a contract, but after this season, from my understanding, he can opt out of his $77 million 5-year contract and become a free agent if he so chooses. Or he can choose to play it out, and that deal, and then it'll pay him $18 million a year, and this upcoming year $16 million in 25 and 15 and 26. So we'll see how that goes. But he's also an option as well for us. So I think we have a few options for sure. I think we're probably best to get Aaron Nola more than likely of those three, more than likely of the three that I've said.
Yeah, so out of the 5 that I had, and I kind of try to rank them as I thought that would be not the best fit, but more likely for the Cardinals to go after. Aaron Nola is number 3 on that list for me. So Aaron Nola I think is the best option of what for pitching that I have written down. As I say, he's going to be 31. He's 90 and 71 in his career. Career ERA of 3.71 and a WAR of 31.7. For his first career. I mean, that's the guy that we're wanting. That's what Absolutely. A lot of people, and he's a ground ball contactor, which works perfectly for our normal defense. I think that would work out really well. And he's got a decent swing and miss stuff too. But again, it comes down to when it comes to money. Number 1 on my list is Frankie Montas. Only reason why is because we continue, we've talked about Frank. I know we talked about him in the offseason. We talked about him last year with trade deadline, and I feel like Frankie Montas has been in the conversation for the St. Louis Cardinals for the past 4 or 5 seasons, I feel like. And he's going to be 30 years old. His numbers don't look all that great. He's 36 and 35 so far in his career. ERA of 3.9 and a WAR of only 7. But this is the type of guy that I feel like the Cardinals will go after, will go out and get and hope to be able to turn around because he won't demand as much money. The second person I have on that list, right above Aaron Nola, just again, not because he's a better choice, but probably because it's more likely, and that's Montgomery. Going out and getting Montgomery. Now, he does have a player's option on his last deal. It is very widely considered that he will not exercise that, that he's going to be looking for more money, which also tends to mean that the Cardinals are probably not going to go out him. But be nice to get a reunion with Montgomery because he was, for long stretches of period, for us, he was the best pitcher that we had. He serviced us really well last year as well. He's 37 and 34 for his career, ERA of 3.74 and a WAR of 11.5. The only other one that I had on pitching wise was Luis Severino, but Severino's coming off of injury. He did not have a good year this year with the Yankees at all, and actually he's had really some real missed seasons the past couple of seasons, most of them due to injury and stuff. But he's 30. He does have he's 54 and 37 with an ERA of 3.79 and a WAR of 11.9 with all that being said. But I just don't know Severino is going to be coming to St. Louis or anything like that. But again, it was just another one that kind of jumped off the page to me. Out of all those, I think that Aaron Nola is probably going to be the best option for pitching. And then OJ, your guy definitely sounds like the second best. I just didn't know he was even somebody that was coming over.
Yeah, I mean, they say that he's got a number 2 upside on Fangraphs in a little blurb, but they don't have his actual stats, which kind of sucks. It makes it a little hard to evaluate. But I mean, the way they talk about it, they're like, oh, he locates his breaking stuff at will. He sits 93, 95, but he can get up to 99. It's I don't know. Yeah. That's very attractive to me as a pitcher profile.
Well, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the only other you're looking at number 2 starter kind of money, I guess, is what it would take to get him. So he's somebody that could realistically get, honestly.
Yeah. The only other one that I have beyond pitching is I did write down my fifth and final one here for offseason targets as an outfielder because I feel like we still need outfield help. I really at this point believe that our infield is pretty good. Any way you slice it, I feel like we're like at an advantage on our infield, but I really feel that there's a lot of question marks around our outfield right now. So I did put in Cody Bellinger. I don't think Cody Bellinger is going to.
I want
he's going to
a
demand way
defender.
too much more.
I want a true center fielder.
Yeah. Again, that's the reason why I went to center field too. And it just was like one of the names that popped out to me that I could see us going after to try to make a big splash. I don't necessarily agree that it's the best choice, but it is, again, just a name that popped out to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bellinger's not very good defensively, right? Or am I mistaken?
Bellinger is not terrible. I mean, if I remember correctly, he's above league average, but he's not like Gold Glover, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he doesn't look awful. Does he normally play center field?
Bellinger, yes.
Yeah, well,
they have him down as a natural center fielder.
Okay, I was gonna say, didn't he originally? I think at one point he played first. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Get down.
Maybe with the Dodgers.
He might have played first at some point, but I know he's
maybe with the Dodgers he did.
Center field.
Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe. But that was just kind of like the last guy that I had on there.
He did spend like 1,200 innings in center field in 2022. Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and he's playing center field now for Chicago. So for the Cubs.
Yeah, he's got really like not bad numbers there, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did get the Gold Glove in 2019.
But he might be.
So he did get a Gold Glove. All right. I thought that he might have gotten one, but I don't want to speak out.
Yeah, he did.
It's not a terrible option.
Yeah, he got the Gold Glove.
It's just that the only reason why that I think it's not going to happen is the fact that it's just going to cost too much money for Cody Bellinger. I think I don't even know what his contract looks now, but really, like I feel the Cardinals, if they're going to be making like a big name acquisition in the offseason, they're only going to be doing one. I think it's going to be very similar to like last year, where the only one that they went out and they got was Wilson Contreras, right? I feel like this offseason is going to be very similar. That they'll get one pitcher and that's it. And so we just have to hope that it's a good pitcher, a guy that could potentially really boost us.
We'll see.
Yeah. It looks like he's got a contract. It looks like he signed a 1 year, $17.5 million contract with the Cubs. There you go.
That's all right. I mean, he also he's having a 4-WAR year this year so far, which is good, very good. So definitely that worked, but he also 2 years ago put up like 1.8 WAR and couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag. So, could he regress? We don't know. So there's a little risk there, and the Cubs already signed him, so they can have him.
He has a mutual option for next year. It looks like.
Oh, okay.
There is a buyout clause in there too. It looks like a mutual option for $25 million, $5 million buyout. And then $1 million for a comeback player of the year if he gets that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you think he's a 4-WAR player, like 4.5, more like WAR player going forward, then he'd probably spend the 25 or whatever on him, I would assume. Especially if you're the Cubs when you can print money. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's for sure. It's just going to be interesting to see what the offseason comes. Obviously, it's very, very far off for us. Hopefully as things kind of progress, we can get a little bit better idea what that looks like and kind of go from there. Let's transition here and talk a little bit about St. Louis City. So this is where things get to be a little interesting. I'm just going to go through this real quick. So they're 15-5 and 10 for a total of 50 points. There are 4 games left that City has left to play. They're 13 points over the 10th place team, which would be getting us into the playoffs, because only the top 9 make it into it. That's 13 points with 5 games remaining, because Minnesota has 5 games remaining. That's 4.5 games. In reality, like Minnesota would have to win out and St. Louis City would have to lose out for them to be able to get into it. Because that's just kind of how it is right now. 11 points over 8th place is where we're at. That's 4 games with 4 games remaining. So most likely, again, we're going to be in the playoffs We're also going to be in a non-play-in situation. I mean, like, again, I'll get
72%. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
you're right.
Yeah, 72% chance right now for first place.
To win it. To win the West table. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 9 points over fifth place. That's 3 games. It's 3 games. It was 6 remaining. 5 points over second that's 2 games with 4 games remaining. We are negative 9 points essentially. So we're 9 points behind Cincinnati with 4 games. That's 3 games with 4 games left. So we can kiss the supporter shield and get by. We're not going to get that, but especially that Cincinnati's got to lose out. We got to win out. That's the only thing that's going to have to happen. Cincinnati's got a game in hand on us as well. Now, percentage-wise, to make the playoffs, and this is where things get to be interesting as well. We had a little bit of conversation before this, and I know that if you're a St. Louis City's fan and you're a listener, you might have gotten the email that says that they are in the playoffs here because they have enough of this and with tiebreakers. Now, here's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me currently of why they would what they have said what they did, right? The reason for that, 10th place right now. Excuse me. 10th place right now belongs to and why won't ESPN pull up? It
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is
the
really
United.
irritating them. Yeah. Give me 1 second.
You're good.
I clicked it MLS and it's just like ESPN is just sitting here not doing anything. So of course, as I'm trying to talk,
I was gonna say I have it pulled up too.
Earlier.
I have it up on MLSsoccer.com. So. Which actually shows us, by the way, on MLSsoccer.com shows that we actually did clinch the playoff spot too. So,
well, there's probably.
Well, this is where. Go on, OJ.
No, I was saying maybe some games happened or something and we clinched. I don't know.
Well, they said that after the Minnesota game, right? Which doesn't make any sense. But hold on 1 second.
You're good.
Got hiccups, of course, at the wrong time right now. All right, so this is why it doesn't make any sense. So for us to be able to get into the playoffs, we have to have 5 teams right now that cannot catch up to us, right? 5 teams total. That's only 3 teams. Only 3 teams cannot catch up to us currently. That's why I'm really confused about this. So Colorado cannot catch up to us. They're way too far out, right?
LAFC could.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they're number 3 in the league, but I'm just looking at the bottom. Galaxy can catch up to us. If that's what you're referring to. Galaxy can catch up to us because they have they have 33 points, and this is why I don't like MLSs. They take the games played and anyways, whatever. So Galaxy has 33 points. They have played 28 games. They have 6 games left. That's 18 points. They win all those games and we lose out. They get 51 points. We only get 50 points. So they would be in. Austin, they have 34 games, 34 points. They have played 29. So that it can, they have 5 more games. That's 15 points. That's 49. Okay. So that's number 2. Austin can't catch up to us. Kansas City has 35 points. They have played 30 games. So they only have 4 more games. That's 8 games. Excuse me. That's 4 games. That's 12 points. They can get 49 points. They can't catch up to us. Minnesota, again, they got 37, but they have 29 games that they have played. That is a total of 5 games. That's 15 points. That's 52 points. They can catch up to us. Dallas, they played 28 and have 38 points. So we know they can catch up to us. Portland has got 39 points with 30 games played. So we know they can catch up to us. That's my thing. Mathematically, I don't understand how we are considered to have this playoff clinched. They say because of the tiebreakers, but it doesn't matter. The first thing is points. So there's no way, that's where I'm confused. And that's why, Adam, I was saying, let's bring this into the podcast, because I'm looking at this and even the playoff calculator that I've been going off of shows Cincinnati has 100% chance of making the playoffs, where St. Louis City has a greater than 99% chance of making the playoffs, because mathematically we haven't clinched yet. That's why I'm so confused about the whole situation. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm looking here on playoffstatus.com, and it shows that we have, whenever it comes to like say, for example, in 10th place or lower, it says that team will finish better than that playoff spot. So it's saying that we will finish 9th or higher on playoffstatus.com.
But okay, but again, that doesn't make any sense, because there's only 3 teams that cannot catch up to us right now. So like the thing about that too is it would make sense if you didn't have ties in soccer, because some of these teams probably play each other, and that's maybe where they're going off of. And
Could be.
I have not done enough research on it to say, is there going to be enough points taken away one way or the other for these teams to not be able to catch up? And maybe that's where it's at, right?
I'm
But
sure it
just
is.
for face value, I'm sitting there going, that doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know why they're not giving the opportunity, or that they're saying that we have clinched, when I'm looking at this and it's like it's not 100% clinched right now. I don't understand it, but it kind of is
like
what
you
it
said,
is,
it very well could be because of they're facing each other, or those kind of things, or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're looking at that takes that in consideration, because I don't think that MLS soccer is going to be wrong, but that's just
No, I understand that, but like I wish that they would kind of explain that a little bit more,
Yeah.
because I'm just sitting there looking at that and I'm going, that doesn't make any sense. Because like, who's to say they can't tie? Some of these other teams have like a few points for wiggle room and stuff like that. If we lose out and they're going up, like for example, Minnesota, who's got a game in hand on us, I think just one, yeah, because they're at 29. The max that they can get to, as I said before, is 52 total points. Obviously, there's 2 points that they have to play around in that aspect of it. So say like with 2 of them that they're facing, I'm just going to throw it out there. It's like Dallas and or no, not even Dallas. Let's say Sporting Kansas City and Austin, which are or actually LA Galaxy, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like if they draw with those, which is just a point, it's not really taking away points. It's not really giving points. Like, okay, cool. They draw for 2 of those games. St. Louis City wins out, but they win the other 3 games. They catch up to us. You see my point? So I'm not terribly too certain how it is. I just wish there was been better explanation for it rather than just saying, hey, we made the playoffs. Now, all this would have been moot if we could have just won Friday night against LAFC. And obviously we knew that going into that, if we would have won, would have been fine. I mean, point blank, we're going to be making the playoffs. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that that's not going to happen. Right now, again, by probability, we have a greater than 99% chance of making the playoffs, and also a non-play-in spot, which would be number 7 or higher. We have 97% chance of at least getting to the 4th spot, 72% chance, Adam, as you said, to win the Western table, meaning just getting first place in the West for the regular season. For playoffs, we have 61% chance of getting to the quarterfinals, probability at least. That means getting to the second round, so winning our first series. We have a 35% chance of making it to the conference finals or the semifinals. We have a 20% chance of making it to the MLS final, and only 9% chance to win it all. Again, FC Cincinnati right now is the proverbial favorite at 23% to be able to win that right now. So very interesting to see. And I also wanted to point out something real quick too. So Inter Miami, right? The number 2 league team in the league compared to some other teams. Yeah, to make the playoffs, they have an 8% chance, and they have less than 1% chance of probability of winning the cup. So I'm tired of hearing those power rankings. But anyways.
Well, I was going to say the power rankings dropped them down significantly recently. I think they're down to 7th or 8th, if I recall, this past week.
Yeah, which that makes more sense. Is what I brought up last week. I felt that made more sense. And yes, Messi and Alba both got injured in this past game. They were facing Vancouver, so they won 4-0 anyways. But it's just muscle fatigue. They'll be fine. You never wish injury to somebody, but I kind of wish that Messi would have been out for at least a game or 2, just for the fact that I can get off this on MLS. They can win whatever cups that they're going after, whatever. I just don't want them in the MLS playoffs, because I'm tired of their the story of Miami overshadowing St. Louis City right now. Just saying, because that's the thing about it. So St. Louis City makes the playoffs. Right? Go ahead, Adam.
I wanted to interrupt you. I found out how we clinched. It's because we drew with LAFC and Austin so this is how the scenario works. If St. Louis draws with LAFC and Austin either loses or draws at New York and Minnesota loses or draw at LA, we then could clinch based upon that. That's apparently the scenario, and that was the one that happened in that scenario, why we clinched. So apparently it was due to that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Once again, it's not based on wins and losses. It's based on points. That's why it still doesn't make sense to me. So
Well,
I don't know. Now, no, you're right. You're right. I understand what you're getting at. I just wish, I wish that, in that scenario when they said this is the reason for it, because it's like it has to be based on that those teams are going to be facing each other, and they're assuming that
right.
the points
Exactly.
that they don't get, are going to be taken away from them.
Correct.
It has to be the case. But yeah.
But I just want to give you that update there or whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes more sense. It makes sense. You know what I mean? Again, we knew going into that game with LAFC just by the numbers, looking at point blank, we knew if we won that game, we would have definitely been to the playoffs. Obviously we are.
There were a number of scenarios. There were actually 11 scenarios. Yeah. One, obviously, if we won, and then there were literally 10 other scenarios where we would clinch, based upon how the other teams, basically, how the other games played out or whatever. And that was the specific scenario that, in essence, I guess gave us that win or whatever, or gave us the clinch or whatever, is because Austin actually drew in Minnesota. What did they do? They ended up losing to Galaxy. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So there you go. Yep.
And put it this way too. So if St. Louis City gets one more win, or if San Jose and Portland, really for that matter, but more or less San Jose, if they lose, so if City wins or if San Jose and Portland lose, we'll be guaranteed number 7.
There you go.
Because right now we are 10 points ahead of San Jose for number 7. But they also have played 30, so they have 8 games. Or they have 4 games left, which is a total of 12 points. So the total they can get to is 52, and obviously we're at 50. So all we got to do is win one more game.
There you go.
Yeah. It's also interesting that we have the highest goal differential in the Western Conference. It's not even particularly close. We got 18, and then number 2 is LAFC with 10.
LAFC with 10. Yeah.
You go over in the East, we would be second only to Columbus. So we literally have the second best goal differential in the entire fucking league. So if they take the way the team is playing into account for these odds at all, then that's going to, weight them in our favor quite a bit too.
Yeah, so the probability is interesting because our playoffs or our seeding and stuff like that really didn't change all that much. But I will say because of we're still getting results. I mean, we're getting points, we're drawing and stuff like that, but it hasn't been a win, and we haven't been able to really we haven't got a signature win in a minute. It has hurt our playoff, our chances of winning the cup and that probability, because it went from 13% from last week to 9%. So they dropped us down 4% on winning the cup.
Get the slump kind of out of the way, even though they're not necessarily slumping. It's just that we're ending up obviously drawing in some of these scenarios, but get that slump out of the way, so to speak, and then going into the playoffs hot. That's my thought.
Yeah, exactly. And real quick,
that's the way I'll look at it.
So check this out, right? So, and this is actually what I was before you brought up the scenario, Adam. This is kind of what I was complaining about. So, Messie's injury overshadowed everything when it came to St. Louis clinching for the playoffs.
Well,
right?
Of course it did.
Right now,
he's literally if you go to MLSsoccer.com, he's the he's the front story of everything.
They're just gonna change their logo to a silhouette of Lionel.
They might as well, yeah. There's nothing on the front page here about St. Louis City SC at all. It's literally Miami. I literally just see pink everywhere on this page if you just scroll through. So
yeah, I mean, it just shows how small time the league is still, really. I mean,
it's really ridiculous.
They're really trying to monetize this. They know that they have the entire
Lionel Messi
country.
Tracker. Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
Who did
jersey
swap with?
Is now gonna buy Inter Miami jerseys, and they all get to split the profit.
Yeah, I mean, they have a whole section on their homepage dedicated to Messi here. It's a whole section.
Lionel Messi tab.
Yeah, they literally have a whole section on their freaking homepage.
Oh my god.
They have like they have like match day 33, Hispanic Heritage Month, and then Lionel Messi. Like the whole thing.
It gets its own subdomain. It's
Yeah.
And see,
Lionel Messi.
and here's my thing, right?
MLS.com.
And here's my thing. As much as
Oh.
I like Messi and I understand how big of a deal it is for them to be for him to be part of the MLS, I completely understand that. But at some point, you need to act like a professional organization and not give your one player in the entire league that much notoriety. Like they didn't. NBA did not do that for Michael Jordan. Just saying. Now, granted, again, technology is different and stuff like that. He was still on, like again, especially in the Chicago.
Well, the dude's
area,
injured now. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Like
What are
for
we
real?
paying
Adam,
for?
Again, so this is my point, right? If you go to MLS News right now. So number 3, I'm gonna read this off because I have them in order. Number 3, after scoreless draw versus LAFC, St. Louis City clinches playoff bid. Really? So first and foremost, they have to put the precedent on it that
of course.
we had a scoreless draw with LAFC.
Yeah. Well,
Number 2.
At least they gave us something anyway.
Yeah. Number two article right now. Nashville gains valuable 3 points versus Sporting KC. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Nashville's a good team. Yeah, and they have a good fan base. Number 1, Messi says PSG never honored him for Argentina World Cup win, which I'm going to go on a quick rant real quick before we do any of this. Don't give a fuck. Sorry. Like, I don't mean to do that shit, but it's PSG.
Like, who gives a shit?
I know.
Jermaine. It's a club team. Why do they have to go out of their way to say, hey, congratulate? We didn't do that for Newbar when he came back after winning with Japan in the World Baseball and put him on go, yeah, awesome. Good for you. Hey, by the way, just got to point this out, Messi. Just shut the fuck up. The captain of PSG, which is the guy that I like the most, Kylian Mbappe, they didn't honor him when he won the World Cup either. And by the way, that's who you beat in the finals last World Cup. They didn't honor him either. Because they're more worried right now about winning Champions League. So why do you feel? Oh, again, I got to get off that because I'm getting too angry.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I will say on MLSsoccer.com, after all the peak and all the mess here, we got a little tiny blurb on the right hand side that says, "Playoff secure. St. Louis City chase next landmark in historic season." They gave us a little tiny blurb.
Yeah,
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
But that's right below the advertisement to buy season pass for MLS season pass on Apple TV as well.
So
right below the ad.
Right
below the ad. We had, of course, Messi in the freaking picture in the ad.
That's terrible.
That's crazy. I was just literally telling that to Josh. I was like, "Oh, they're having some sales on some jerseys and stuff for they like 20% off." So you go to the MLS store and like everything, Messi, like everything. You can't even find other shit hardly at all.
Dude,
you have to go digging. Okay. It's crazy.
What if Messi retires after the season? What if he flat out retires after this season? I would laugh. So
Miami needs to retire his number, of course.
Right. The entire MLS is going to retire number 10.
Yeah.
Oh, they have to. They all retire 10. Yeah, no doubt about it. After his historic season of less than half a season, the entire MLS will retire number 10.
You know what's funny?
Hey, Leuven.
I forgot
I know
that they don't
did
do
really
that
good
in soccer, but that makes it even better. Like, honestly, that makes it even more hyperbolic. So let's roll with it.
Good Lord.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you right now. So that's what they'll do. They'll go to our Leuven and go, hey, so we know you're a phenomenal.
You got to give it up.
We're going to need you to change your jersey.
Yeah.
No, just add a 0 to it.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be player 100 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say ridiculous. Number 10, like the coveted number 10 that's always the midfielder, the attacking midfielder. Sorry, but you can never be number 10 again. That's just never happening.
It'll never happen.
Never happen again.
I tell you, so we need to have Danny back on. Our soccer friend, our soccer expert.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to get his opinion on Messi now being in MLS, and also are any of these issues that I have, or really anybody else has with it, Like, is that kind of how he feels, or does he feel this is all good? Like, what's his take on it? So I'll definitely try to get him on the show at some point here soon, because I definitely want to, get a wrap up with him.
All
too,
the hype
especially
and
about
shit
City.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, I understand that, I guess maybe it's good for MLS because it brings in this attention or whatever, and maybe some, fair weather fans, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But at the same time, it's kind of aggravating, like, if you're any other team, because this is like, there's all this hype for one dude, and he's like, he just showed up here. You know what I mean?
Dude, so look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is the number one team in MLS, and nobody.
Yeah, but they don't give a shit.
Anymore.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about
no one
Cincinnati.
talks.
Everybody talks about freaking Miami.
Yeah. Well,
I would be pissed if I was I would be pissed if I was Cincinnati, no doubt about it.
Well, because LAFC and Seattle are having down years, so, and those are like the other two like huge markets, so they're trying to focus on Miami like above everything. They're like, thank God. Like,
but it's like, come on, we were supposed to finish in last place, and here we are about to potentially finish and win the West.
Yeah.
In first, for God's sake. That should be huge news.
I'm telling you, if we win first, go on, OJ.
I do kind of understand wanting to de-emphasize that a little bit, because to me that also makes the league seem kind of small time, because Austin did it like 2 years ago too, so it's starting to look like, man, people are just able to walk in here and just immediately be good, because I guess the rules must help teams, which is good, but also I think it makes it seem like the competition isn't that heavy. If you just try hard enough, you can just do it.
But it's still a young league though. Like, that's not really fair. That's not a fair assessment, because it's a young league. I mean, that's like saying, okay, hey, Arlington won the XFL last year, right? At 4 and 6. Oh, I guess anybody and everybody can win. Well, yeah, anybody and everybody can win, especially in this system or whatever. But that's a first year. Yeah,
I mean, that's all I'm saying. And I'm just saying, the way they tried to sort of associate themselves with like the European leagues and shit, with the way they started naming their teams and all that, it makes me think that they're like they care a lot about their image and how they're seen worldwide. So they probably do want to like mask any kind of things that make it seem like they're a weird, volatile, like unstable league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want people,
and that is true too, because a lot of them have changed, because obviously, like, the Vancouver Whitecaps, they got away from the nicknames, like, of like, St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Cardinals, and like that's the nickname for the St. Louis team, Cardinals, Blues, whatever. They got away with that. A few of them did keep their team, but like, because Salt Lake used to be called something, but now they're Real Salt Lake, and it's super funny because I'm like, okay, so by the way, so they pronounce it Real Salt Lake. Like Real Madrid, obviously not one of the best teams in the world, but Real, it means royal, so it's Royal Madrid. So so essentially the way that they are personifying themselves is they are the cream of the crop in Madrid, because obviously there's a lot of teams in Madrid. So like, but they're like, oh,
but that's Spanish.
My thing about it is like,
freaking
that's exactly
Utah.
What I'm saying. Like,
it's a Spanish. Like, Real is a Spanish title,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you're in New Mexico. You don't share a border.
Yeah.
Like, why
this is
like,
freaking
the
whitest,
Lake, not Real Salt Lake.
The whitest, the whitest freaking place on earth. Freaking Salt Lake City.
Spanish people are white, dude. People from Spain are mostly white.
Yeah,
right?
but
so
the people from Utah are definitely not Spanish.
That's true.
Yeah, they pronounce it Real, but I'm like, it's definitely Real Salt Lake. I mean, like, I get what you're trying to go for, but you are in an American league, in an American
very
city.
white
it's Real
area.
Salt Lake, not Real
very
Salt
white.
Lake. Just saying.
God, dude. That is dumb. Like, I didn't even think about that, but God, it's terrible. And then you call it football. Like, come on, dude. We don't call it that here. Like, can you imagine if, like, in South America,
United
like,
FC,
or in Brazil or something, they're like, oh, we need to call it football. We can't say football. Not in Brazil, obviously, in the other South America.
Right.
We can't say football. We had to say football. because that's how the British people pronounce it. Like, fuck off.
It's actually super funny.
Man.
So I've been watching a lot of. This is a little bit. It's on the same vein. But I've been watching a lot of anime lately, and the one anime I was watching is about a bunch of like high schools, and they're like trying to get into like colleges and stuff. But in most of the world, they say university instead of college, right? But there was one guy on there, like they're like, oh, I'm going to get into this university. I'm trying to get into this university. He goes, yeah, I can't wait to go to college. And they go, what the hell did you just say? And they were playing it. He's just like, oh, I'm sorry. When I go to, he's like, I should have told you I'm going to go to school in America. So I'm trying to like,
well,
Americanisms. And it was really funny,
they always say that soccer is an American thing, but in actuality, since I just Googled it, it actually didn't originate in America. It's actually a British term that it was literally, Rugger, which was the name for rugby, and it was, a soccer, ASSOCCER, association football was literally shortened down to soccer, and it was literally British university students in the late 19th century nicknamed it soccer because it was called a soccer. That's literally where the name come from. Yes, it's British. Soccer is British.
So it's actually called soccer.
Yes,
cool.
The British literally called it soccer. They can't say this is an American thing. No, it's England's fault. 100%.
So really, we obviously are the most like.
Well, it's like blaming America for using the imperial system. Well, I'm sorry, but we didn't invent that.
Using it, but honestly, it's way too much of a pain in the ass to switch at this point. Like, for no reason other than to conform with
our
other
origins.
People,
not to go in this history lesson, but our origins root back to the United Kingdom, to Britain. So therefore, all of our things, soccer and technically, and also the imperial system and many other things, come from our roots. So there you go. So don't blame America, blame England. Just saying.
I will blame Atlanta.
Sure.
So Atlanta, who used to be just called Atlanta United, which I thought was kind of a cool, like clever way to say that was your nickname, was like you're the United, but it's obviously representing the entire city. And then they changed it from Atlanta United to Atlanta United FC. So Atlanta United Football Club, even though you play soccer in America, God damn it.
Well, apparently the British stopped using it 40 years ago. So they were using it not all that long ago. Just saying. There you go. I'll rest on that.
Like 1983, another.
Yeah, like 40 years ago, they were still calling it soccer, and then they decided, we're going to change it, and then we're going to blame the Americans.
God, anyway, people are so ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
So
our parents,
Charlie, rather than.
Anyways, let's talk a little bit about the college sports scene here, with specifically to the football stuff here. Got to talk big time MIZZOU win. Mizzou beats Kansas State. That was a huge ass win. Adam, did you get to watch a game? OJ, I think you watched the game, didn't you?
I didn't see the game, but I definitely seen the highlights, especially that the record field goal as well. That record field goal record.
61 yards. An
longest
SEC
record. Yep.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that was because originally it was like we weren't going to be able. I was like, okay. Honestly, it's like, okay, before the 5-yard penalty or because of the delay of game, it's like, do we have a chance? And then obviously we get the delay of game, and and we get the 5-yard penalty, and it's like, oh my God, 61 yards, there's no way. But believe it or not, it's pretty incredible.
I didn't believe it either. No, I actually didn't get to see much of it. I listened to it on the radio as best I could, but I had to help somebody put in a pool, take the cat to the vet, drop my girlfriend off somewhere. So I was pretty fucking busy, but while I was working on the pool, I had it on my phone, so I kept going over to take a look at it as much as I could.
Right.
So I saw the field goal, of course, which was crazy because I can't believe it. I'm like, I thought there was no fucking chance. I mean, it's just a long field goal. He just missed a 50-yarder.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I thought. I'm like, okay, 50 maybe, right? And it's like, well, he's got the leg. He likes longer kicks and stuff. I'm like, still, it's a 61. Like, professionals can't hit that, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like,
so,
is this the Justin Tucker of college football? Good dang.
I mean, yeah.
So if he kicks the ball, and like the entire time I'm like, okay, well it's straight enough, but there's no way this is going to be deep. And then the guy underneath it, that was supposed to be returned, he just kept looking and looking and looking, like, holy shit, to go. And then the ref shook their head and put it up, like, fucking way. I screamed. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe he did that.
Because I mean, it literally reminded me of the 66-yarder, from Justin Tucker from what was it, a couple years ago or whatever, and I still remember that. I'm just like, oh my fucking god, that was crazy, when they were playing the Lions. But
clutch things of all time for sure.
Good lord, and then seeing that all over again. But
because if he doesn't make that, we lose that game, 100%. We had so many chances to ice that game away, and we just continued to stumble upon ourselves. I mean, we almost stumbled right there. I mean, it was a 56-yarder, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, shit, there's like 3 seconds left in the play call.
Yeah. I was fucking pissed. That's what I'm saying. That's part of the reason I thought there's no way he was going to make it. I'm like, fuck you, Drinkowitz. I don't know if it was his fault, but I don't know how the fuck you give yourself a delay of game penalty, like just come over to the sideline, let's talk about some things. Like,
of all things,
give the field position away for no fucking reason. It's inexcusable, dude. I was like, oh my god. Well, I think that this is
I think that they realized, like, I think that the game clock wasn't running, but the play clock was running. Yeah, I mean,
because it's part of the rule where they stop in college football now. They stop it after every first down, and when it's
that's right,
late in the game or whatever, they automatically stop the clock.
But he spiked the ball, so he spiked the ball, and that's the problem with it. So he spiked the ball, which immediately starts the play clock. But they, for whatever reason, thought it was a fucking timeout. And so, like, they're just walking around, blah, blah, blah. And now they're talking to the special teams because they were talking about potentially trying to get a few yards back, essentially, or whatever, while trying to fucking decide this. All of a sudden, like, here comes, Dirkowitz comes busting up and, like, getting to his quarterback and his offensive coordinator being like, dude, there's 3 seconds left on the clock. Run the damn play. And it's like, well, there ain't no way you're going to get to the line now. You know what I mean?
I don't think the clock was running, though. The clock would have been running if they spiked it because they were out of timeouts.
Play clock was running, though.
The play clock was running. If
you, that's what I'm saying. No, if you,
I was saying
if you
the game
spike
clock,
the ball,
they stopped the game clock.
The game clock
after
does
first
not
down.
continue. The game clock does not continue if you spike a ball. It's an incomplete pass.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I think they had just got a first down. I don't think they spiked it. I think they had just got a first down because if they had spiked it, they were out of timeouts already at that part. That's what I'm saying. I seem to remember that they had already called a timeout much earlier in the drive. And so from what I remember, they just got on the first down, but the play clock was going because I don't think the time was ticking. I mean, I have to go back and watch it to be sure, but that's how I remember it.
I'm pretty sure that they killed the ball because then because they were trying to make sure that they had enough time to get it off. And that's the reason why they also were wanting to be like, okay, well, this is kind of that weird area of like 5 seconds or whatever. So even if we do make the field goal, technically there's like 2 seconds left in the game. Do we really want them to be able to run this back on us? So that's why there were the conversation. Do we try like a quick out? And if the pass isn't there, just throw it away, be done with it or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think I'm tripping. I don't know why I was thinking that the clock would. That's weird. I was thinking the clock wouldn't stop for some reason. It's like I forgot the rules of football for a second. But like.
No, it's all good, dude. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, that's a break.
And apparently there was a flag on the final play, and it was against K-State.
Oh. No,
no.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I was going to finish my statement, but I'll wait.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Adam. I think you got it.
So Drinkwitz said that the flag on the final play was K-State having 2 players wearing number 8 on the field, and if the kick was no good, that he would have another chance at it, apparently. So apparently there was a free kick.
Well, see, this is interesting because I remember they said that there was a flag on the field for the commentators, right? But they were showing it and they couldn't tell what it was. The referees came together obviously after everybody storming the field. They did not talk to Dirkowitz this entire time. They all the refs immediately went to converse because obviously you have all these students rushing the field. So they all went towards their area or whatever, and they conversed, and immediately They talked it over, nodded, and then walked off the field. It was like a 20-second conversation. So that's why the commentators and a lot of analysts too, and maybe that was something that came up afterwards, like on the official game report or whatever. But they said that there was no foul. So maybe they just assumed that Derkowitz was going to say no to it. I don't know.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's because the fans started rushing the field immediately.
At that point, it didn't even matter at that point. And plus, it was good as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was watching that.
It would have been, the penalty would have been declined, and that would have been it anyway. But say, for example, he missed, that flag would have given him.
Yeah.
That flag would have given him an option. That was my point. There was a flag, though. The flag was out there because Kansas had two players with number 8 uniforms on the field. And so based upon that,
second time they got that penalty that quarter.
Yep. And so based upon that he got a free kick there. If he would have missed that, he would have been able to. I mean, I'm saying that was a free kick. If he would have missed it, he would have had another opportunity. I just want to make that point. He didn't have to. He got on the first try, but because of that, he would have got a second shot as well.
No, you're right about that. But yeah, the announcer was confused, I think, because I know the announcer said, oh, maybe it was like a pom-pom or a yellow shirt or something that got
No, but it actually was a flag. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then I heard that officially it was confirmed that it was actually flag.
Yep.
But it was just as you said, Adam. That's what I heard.
Correct.
Yeah, see, again, I didn't read anything about it like afterwards or whatever. So it was just like a bunch of analysts that I read, because I was kind of confused about it too, and was like, was there a flag? Like, what was it or whatever? And they all just said no, it was just like mistaken identity, essentially. Well, it turns out that was not the case, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah. It's a false identity. Can't have two number 8s.
There you go.
Cannot. Correct.
So let's talk about this. After that big win, do we believe that Mizzou should be ranked? OJ, I'll start with you. Do you think that they should be ranked?
Not yet, and the reason is I don't really know how good Kansas State is, because I mean Kansas State could very easily be overranked, and other than that, Mizzou just barely beat Middle Tennessee State, and I mean they crushed South Dakota, but after the first half, when they took Grady Cook out, they looked pretty pedestrian against South Dakota. So I mean, it could be a thing where they were just literally spent no time prepping for those teams, and just that's what it was. But they clearly did open up the playbook a lot more here. My point is, if I was like a ranking committee, I would move Mizzou up and Kansas State down like they did. But I don't know that. Like, I'm not mad as a person that's a fan of Mizzou that they're not ranked yet. Like, let them not lose to Memphis or Vandy first before we go ranking them.
Yeah. That's exactly how I have it right now too, OJ. Is so right now, for anybody that does not know, right now the AP poll has Mizzou at number 27, right? Yeah, 27. Actually, we're at 27 the AP and the coaches. We have 72 points right now on the AP poll. To put that in perspective, Kansas State is number 28, so they're right behind us with 54 points. Also, though, we're chasing Florida, which is 25. They have 103 points, so we have a little bit of makeup there. Now, in the coaches poll, it's even worse. We're still 27, but 26 is Kansas State. They have 114 points. UCLA is the number 25th team, according to the coaches poll. They have 156 points. Again, Mizzou at 27, 44 points. So a lot of coaches don't believe in this. But that's kind of how I see it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, we barely win against Middle Tennessee State. You take a look at Kansas, Kansas State, they beat earlier in the season Southeast Missouri 45-0. Well, you're at home for that. They were at home versus Troy. They won that game 42-13. This was their first away game to an unranked Mizzou, and you lost 30-27. So, like, they were riding off their preseason rankings, but I didn't even think that Kansas State deserved to be in the top 15 anyways, and obviously they were ranked number 15. So I'm okay with Mizzou not being ranked.
Yeah.
But to your point, OJ, I think that if they beat Memphis, and let's say they beat Memphis by like 2 scores, let's say it's a 28-14 game or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, if they win by like 2 scores, I think at that point, okay, and especially if you have a couple of losses, now I think that you can maybe push them to 25, 24, somewhere there. But I don't believe that I think 27 is a very fair spot for them right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if they go out and handle business against Memphis and Vanderbilt, then I would expect them to be ranked going into the game against LSU.
Yeah.
Because Memphis, according to, I don't know, I don't know if it's like sort of a Ken Palm type ranking that some people are looking at, something like that. But they basically have Memphis like 4 spots below us. Now, Memphis hasn't played fucking anybody. I mean, you think the schools we've played are cupcakes, like other than Kansas State. Like Memphis has played, teams that are cupcakes to Memphis, and that's it so far. So, and they've obviously hammered them. So, but it's still, you can't go to sleep on this game either, because you could ruin everything by dropping one of these next 2 games that you should win.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Weirdly enough,
no, never mind. I'm gonna save that. Go ahead.
But I was gonna say, so I'm just taking a look at it. This is just according like the ESPN for the AP rankings, stuff like that. So they're not in the top Memphis. They're not in the top like 30. Because you have Kansas State, TCU, Fresno State. Yeah, because you have Auburn and Louisville both with 1 vote or whatever. And there is like a full list. Go ahead.
Whatever I heard, I think it was on the radio. It was somebody mentioning it on there. Whatever they were looking at had us like 37 and Memphis 41, something like that. That was in football. That was after the Kansas State game. So I guess it depends what site you want to look at.
Yeah, and that's I'm about to say it really does depend, because it all comes down to votes. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, that one does. That's what I'm saying. The one they were looking at, I think, is like Ken Palm, which is not votes. Like, pretty sure is like some sort of Ken Palm like ranking of football teams. So there would be some sort of formula behind it, but I don't know what it was.
Okay. Well, speaking of the top 25 here, is there any teams that really kind of like stand out to you, like that you're kind of surprised with in the top 25? I'll start here. I mean, go on if you want to start.
No, you go ahead. No, go for it. I got plenty to say.
The one thing that's really surprising to me, honestly, especially because of the demise that's coming next year, for the Pac-12. So the Pac-12, which has 12 teams, has 7 of them in the top 25. That's freaking ridiculous now. You know what I mean? You have Washington at number 8, which I cannot believe Washington is ranked number 8. It's been a long time. Since last time they were ranked this high, DeMarco Farr was the defensive tackle playing in Washington.
Damn.
Gotcha. Right? That was but they were also, I think, at the time, like 4 or 5 too. But that's how long it's been. They haven't faced anybody just yet, but they've been blowout wins. I mean, they faced Boise State, which is a decent test or whatever, but 56-19, they won that. They faced Tulsa, again, a decent test, 43-10. Then they were at Michigan State, again, decent test, 41-7. They've been dominating, but they don't really have a true test. Their next couple of games, they're at home against California, they're at Arizona. The next one for them is going to be versus Oregon. That's going to be the biggest one for me. But yeah, they're ranked number 8. Number 10 is Oregon, which is always kind of a staple for the Pac-12. Utah, same thing. They're now number 11. But Oregon State, which is super funny, is like that's one of the teams, if you remember correctly, from when we talked about the Pac-12 realignment, Oregon State and Washington State were both the teams that were kind of left behind from the other big teams, right? Yeah, both right now ranked in the top 25, which is just freaking crazy to me. So you're like leaving these teams behind in the Pac-12, but it's nuts. But DJ Uiagalelei, who used to be the quarterback at Clemson, he transferred because he kind of fell out of favoring Clemson, didn't do very well as a Clemson fan. And Adam, I know you watched a few games with DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback and did not look great. Yeah. So he's now at Oregon State and has brought the Beavers, though, to a 3-0 record. Now, that being said, too, Oregon State hasn't faced anybody either, just like most of the country at this point. They were at San Jose State, beat them 42-17 versus UC Davis 55-7. And then they just recently were at home against San Diego State and won that game 26-9. But they have they're one of their main rivals. They are at Washington State, who's ranked 21 in the nation. Then they go right after that. They're at home against Utah. So Oregon State is really got a long way to go when it comes to that. Anybody else that kind of speaks out to you, OJ, before I move on to my next one?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about surprises, then we can move to the SEC because, Alabama, they were tied with University of Southern Florida or something. Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
like into the it was like a 3-3 tie or something going. Yeah, it's like a 3-3 tie going into the fourth quarter, something like that. Holy crap!
Dude, and I'm telling you right now, this team looks like absolute garbage. So first and foremost, because that's actually on my list too, and it's actually funny, it's the number 2 surprise here for me is Alabama at number 13. Just a real quick thing. This is the first time that Alabama and Nick Saban have been out of the top 10 in college football since 2015. 8 fucking years. That's crazy. I don't like Saban. I do not like Alabama, but you have to respect what they've been able to accomplish there. That's a ridiculous record. It's not the overall record, which belongs to the Miami Hurricanes. But anyways, we'll get off.
Buy him out.
Take it. I'm sorry.
Buy him out.
Yeah. Right. Anyways, so Alabama, they take on MTSU, which is, I don't even know, what is MT? Oh, that's Middle Tennessee. That's freaking hilarious. So they took on Middle Tennessee as well.
Oh, so you're saying M? Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, sorry, MTSU. Yeah, they stomped them 56-7, but then they lost to Texas at home 34-27. And then, as you just pointed out, to USF, the University of South Florida, they were at South Florida. But they're 17-3. They barely won that game.
Yeah.
It's just
nuts,
nuts,
and like I said, it was tied like at 3 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Their offense has just been absolutely dismal. They can't figure out the quarterback situation, and it looks like it's weird because we always know that Alabama can recruit, but this year it doesn't look like they recruited at all. I mean, it looks like these guys are in high school right now.
Yeah, they look like Brady Cook looked last year.
Yeah, that's a fair
Alabama
assessment.
fans aren't used to seeing that.
No, exactly.
But I mean, those guys have lots of stars next to their name. But yeah, that USF game, they only played their 2 backups who were abysmal. So I think they don't have a quarterback controversy going over there anymore. It's kind of like the opposite of what Mizzou did, whereas like Mizzou had a quarterback controversy going into their week 3 game as well, but like they silenced the critics positively because now people are more confident in Brady Cook than they ever have been because he had a monster game. Whereas Alabama people are also more confident in their starter than they've ever been, but it's because their backups are so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. And they're probably losing their minds. And they're like ranked 13 or something, you said?
Yeah, 13.
And they're probably so mad about that.
Doesn't get much easier for them either. So their next game is at home versus Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is ranked 15th. And I think that Ole Miss is going to beat them this year. Then they're at Mississippi State, which is always kind of Ole Miss. Oh yeah, they've been good for the past couple of years, but like,
I didn't know they got that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always kind of looked at it as more like Arkansas kind of program.
Yeah, kind of. That's a good. Yeah. So after Ole Miss, they are at Mississippi State, which has been a killer to them in recent years. Then they're at Texas A&M, which has also been a killer to them in recent years, although I don't think that one is nearly as dangerous as the Mississippi State game. Then they're at home versus Arkansas. They're at home versus Tennessee, at home versus LSU. It just doesn't get easier for Alabama here. I wouldn't be surprised here if Alabama loses again, especially like if they lose to Ole Miss, they might be out of the top 25, and that would.
Holy shit.
Think about that for a second. Alabama not in the top 25.
What they might fucking buy Nick Saban out.
So, dude, it's actually super funny. There are people they're saying this is the end of Nick Saban's like dynasty and that he's going to retire. Like, if not after this season, maybe after next season if they have the same type of season. I mean, it's not looking great. Like, full out, honestly, it's not. He's looking older. Like he's looking frustrated, like he doesn't have the answers. His players don't seem to be able to respond very well. And the SEC is only going to get tougher because there's more and more teams coming in the SEC now. So like I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting for Alabama. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean Texas will be over here next season. Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
They start recruiting. I don't know.
I'm about to say, because and that's the other thing too, is Texas is really going to be a problem for Alabama, especially when it comes to recruiting, because Texas is now all of a sudden on the rise again. Again, they're number 3 team, I think, or number 4. Either number 3. Yeah, because Florida State's ranked number 4. I should have known that. Anyways, but yeah, so like it's only going to get harder for them, in recruiting and stuff like that, especially if Nick Saban does decide to hang it up. How the hell do you replace Nick Saban? So I don't know, but. Anyways, to that point though, Jay, do you have another team or anything else, storyline that kind of speaks out to you when it comes to surprises?
I'm having trouble thinking of some right now. I've got some on the tip of my tongue, but if I think of them later, I can say them. But otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah. How about Colorado at 19, man? So I'm real. This is kind of like the Messe thing.
Wait, what? They put Colorado at 19?
Thank you. And it's because
for
of
beating Colorado State.
Dude, so listen. So no. Hold on.
No,
they put them this high specifically because at the very beginning of the season, their first game was at TCU and they beat them 45 to 42. So it was a very close game. And by the way, TCU isn't even fucking ranked anymore. So like, how does that win mean that much? So then your next game was at home versus Nebraska. You beat the snot out of Nebraska. Well, Nebraska's not Nebraska anymore. They haven't been in the top 25, I don't think, in like 3 years. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then Colorado State. And the only reason why Colorado State was a quote unquote primetime game was because of Norvell, the coach for Colorado State, said the comments about Coach Prime that like led to this giant feud or whatever, and it was a rival game. But at the same time, like that's kind of like really that's just worthless to me. You know what I mean? I don't know, but as you just said, dude.
Double overtime.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, exactly.
They had to go to double overtime off that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they beat like a not very good Nebraska. Like I don't know that Nebraska is anywhere near the top 25. This season.
Oh. So like here, actually, go on.
Not very good. And then, like you said, TCU's not ranked. And these aren't like incredible. Like TCU is usually pretty good, but they're not like some fucking Alabama. It's not like that kind of win that would vault you that high from being terrible.
Well, and the thing about it is like, so the reason why TCU is preseasonally ranked so high is because obviously went to the playoffs last year, right? They got their butts kicked, but they also lost so many freaking seniors. So I don't know what they were kind of.
That was as good as it gets for TCU is getting into playoffs. They're not normally that caliber of a team, is what I was getting at.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. So like, you have them preseason ranked, that's 17. That's fine. Colorado, I think, came preseasonally ranked in the season at like 24 or something like that. But like, so then okay, cool. You can understand the jump. But they've consistently continued to move them over and over and over. And by the way, Nebraska's not even in the top 50. That's crazy. Nebraska football not even in the top 50.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they rank Colorado at all to begin the season. I mean, I know they got Deion Sanders, and he basically took his entire team from what was it? Where did he coach at before?
Jackson State.
Jackson State. Yeah. So those people that tore it up in that league or that division, like that conference, whatever conference Jackson State's in, was that Sun Belt maybe?
I think so. Yeah.
But anyway, those guys. Let's rank them in the top 25 immediately. Like, wait and see what they do first. I don't know. That's weird.
And this is the thing about it to me, right? Like, I really didn't have a problem with Deion Sanders. I don't like anybody that calls himself in third person and he talks about like this is prime, like he does that stuff. And that's just swagger. It's very annoying, but like I kind of roll my eyes around it. I'm starting to see between the lines. He's coaching his son, who's a quarterback at Jackson State. The HBCU school that he went to. Okay, good for him to go to that school and get the program going, get his son involved, get all these other players involved. But then I think what ended up happening was he was only in Jackson State, I think 2 or 3 seasons. And then I think what he started doing immediately after his first season in Jackson State, he's like, wow, I'm getting a lot of attention. You know what I'm going to do? I know my son's going to be here. I know my son's going to be my starting quarterback, because why wouldn't he be? I'm going to call around and see if a program would be willing to take me as a coach. But in doing so, I get to utilize all this new crap in college football and use the transfer protocol and bring whomever the hell I want over. I'm going to see if there's going to be a program that would allow me to do that. And Colorado's like, hey, sure, go ahead and do that with us. You know what I mean? So now he's bringing his son over, who would not normally have gotten a chance in a Power 5 school, because like his profile wasn't that great coming out of high school, and now is giving him a chance. Now, good for him, because he's gotten a couple wins. But if Saunders Sanders can't do the deed here, if they start losing, it's not going to look very good for him at that point. You know what I mean? Especially like Colorado's next game is going to be the game I think that they lose. They're at Oregon. Then they're at home versus USC, which is ranked 5, by the way, right now. Like, things do not get easy for this team, and I think they're going to lose. Like, I think they're going to finish like barely above 500 now, which could still be a win for Colorado, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's huge for them. They were like 1-11 last year, and so yeah, that would be a massive improvement for them, especially with wins over like TCU and stuff. Like, as a program, you'd feel incredible about that for sure. But I do agree with you. I mean, most people think that they're going to get destroyed in the next couple games they got coming up, and to be fair, most teams we don't know shit about yet. That's kind of why. It's hard to make too much out of a lot of things, because everyone's only played 3 games. So there's a lot of variance over that sample size. But yeah, so, I mean, if they pull it off and they have like a good season this season, that will be very impressive. Because, I mean, I know those dudes they killed it last year, and you got Deion Sanders as your head coach and everything. But, I mean, they were also playing in the Sun Belt last year, and now they're going into like power conference.
By the way, because that was, if I remember correctly, Jackson State, I think, is on the Division 2, and they didn't even win. They didn't win a championship or whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. So like, yeah, you're gonna have they might have some success if there's some good dudes and they like high character guys and they gel well and stuff. They might have some success, but I don't know if it's gonna be as legendary as what's happened so far for Deion Sanders. Although, he's definitely one of those guys that everybody has an opinion on. They either hate him or they love him, it seems. I don't know. His shtick could definitely be entertaining sometimes, but I could see why it pissed some people off too.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it was, like, again, Norvell's approach that in the media is just like, I don't care if they heard about Boulder. You know, he's making a point of like how he was raised. He's like, when I talk to people, I look at them in the eye, take my hat and my sunglasses off. I understand what he was trying to say, but you know how Prime is going to be. You know how Prime's going to go.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was just, dude, but it was so funny to me. So when they did it because you probably didn't see it, they did the college game day. So, you know, like for the week, the big thing that they bring in all these college football stars and all the analysts, and that they do the show with the students behind them, right? They did that. They had The Rock there. Like, they had all these people. So they didn't, by the way, have Norvell come on to the show. They only had Deion Sanders, which I thought was not okay. You know, if you're going to have one coach on, you need to have the other. But Deion Sanders says, well, you know, Norvell made this personal. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. You can sit there and say that, he made it personal because he had these comments about you. Don't you think that you in Colorado also made this personal by all of a sudden going, and it's Colorado State, F them, they haven't been anything, like blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but you guys haven't been anything either. That's the reason why this rivalry has been so good for so long between Colorado State and Colorado, is because both teams sucked. So it was like on playing field, you know what I mean? Like, you're the ones that like brought them in prime light and said that they were nothing. But then you say, oh, well, you can't be talking about me that way. It's like, you just disrespected this entire school by saying the comments that you said well beforehand. So, like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? And I even said it. I'm like, man, watch Colorado State win this game. And they were winning for a while. And I'm like, man, dude, if they pull this off, it's going to be epic. I'm going to laugh so hard. But
that would have
is.
fucked Deion's shit up for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Man. But anyways, let's head to our sign off, guys. We talked enough here. So, alrighty. Adam, would you like to tell the good listeners how they can reach out to us on our social media platforms?
To our lovely listeners, if you're loving what you're hearing here on the Hometown Losers podcast, be sure and connect with us and beyond the airwaves. So join us on Facebook by visiting facebook.com/the Hometown Losers. That's LOUSERS. And you can also check us out on x.com/hometown losers. So we can't wait to interact with you. And we'll be sharing the latest and greatest from the Hometown Losers there. So let's keep the conversation going.
Just to add on that, if there's anything specific sports-wise you want to hear, please reach out to us and give us that, because we can definitely talk about whatever. We might not be experts on it, but hey, we could talk to you like we're talking at a bar, talking sports. So we can definitely do that.
For sure.
OJ, what do you have, OJ, for the game of the week?
I'm going to stick with the Tigers on this one because I think it probably is the one. I'll go with it because it's Mizzou at Memphis. There's probably enough. One of the things I liked about last game is that there's probably enough people in the St. Louis area that care about either from the Kansas State perspective or from the Mizzou perspective. But Memphis is pretty close, so let's stick with Mizzou on the 23rd, and that's where they'll be coming to St. Louis. That's Zoo in the Lou. So I know we were mentioning that last week, but that was in Columbia, obviously. So for Zoo to the Lou, and remember, there's like 18 guys apparently on the Mizzou team that are from St. Louis. So I think they're probably going to ball out. Should be fun to watch.
Oh, and hold on. And for anybody that does not know, that game against Memphis is at where, Adam?
The Battle Dome.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, Battle.
I wish they would rename it that. That way, when people book conventions and shit there,
we
they have
officially made it the Battle Dome. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, so that's at 6:30 p.m. September 23rd
at the Battle Dome.
Yep.
By the way, too, I will give this a quick shout out. If you want to go to that game and you are a season ticket member for the Battlehawks, check your email. You can get discount tickets that way.
Absolutely.
Oh shit!
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You're just going to say, I can give you the plug right now. If you'd like, you can go to just check it out on the XFL app, and you can get the offer. But you can also, if you want, use the promo code BHAWKS. That's BHAWKS, and it unlocks $20 off tickets in the lower bowl and club level as well.
Nice. It's like we're sponsored and everything now.
There we go.
We are not. If we are, you need to tell me, because I need a cut of that. So
exactly.
well,
I will
You're
sue
just
you.
a stats guy. You're just a stats guy, OJ.
We'll get $20 off, and you can give me the $10.
Maybe getting
as
something
my cut.
off of it. I need to be
there you go. You get $20 off from the lower bowl and the club level if you use the code BHAWKS. There you go.
Sweet. Good deal.
And there are still tickets available, and they are not too bad, especially with $20 off. You can be sitting in the lower bowl for like $50.
$50, I think. Yeah,
$40, $50.
And I think they actually did go up just recently.
It's a good fucking deal. It really is a good fucking deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So go. I was going to say, I'm looking at tickets right now, and
the
they're not
Mizzou
bad.
Tigers, not the Memphis Tigers.
Tigers versus Tigers.
Starting to think about tickets myself as far away as I live.
Be sure and use the promo code BHAWKS.
I'll tell you what, OJ, and I almost tried to see. I was thinking about talking to Adam and trying to go to four tickets for season tickets if we could have done that for the Battlehawks. But I'm like, man, you just live so far away. You know what I mean? Like, Adam, you live far away too, but your drive I think is a little less than his. Just like all of us meeting up and going to the game would be kind of problematic logistically. But you guys definitely need to get to a game and we can meet you down there. You know what I mean? It's just an awesome atmosphere.
Totally worth
Battlehawks. You guys,
and honestly,
it's cheap enough. I mean, I think I might.
They're cheap. Yeah. I was
Is,
gonna say,
yeah.
even if you single game tickets, you can get tickets for dirt cheap down there. So
OJ, for our season tickets, and again, we're like 10 rows off the field in the end zone.
in the end zone.
Not
Mhm.
joke, was $200 for the season for 5 games.
Yep.
oh, you're talking about the Battlehawks. I was just talking
Yeah, the
about
Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mizzou game. I was going to
Oh,
look at
no,
the,
no, no, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I was talking
Mizzou
about the
game. If you want to go to
Battlehawks.
the Mizzou game, you can get tickets in the lower bowl. Like I said, $65, $20 off if you use the Beehawks promo code. So $45 for a ticket,
Yeah.
and that's there you go.
wow. Yeah, dude, that's sick. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just fucking. I think I might
yeah.
go.
I mean, for
This weekend.
$45,
Alright.
that's cheap. You know.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's fucking
And
cheap.
these are in like and these are still pretty good seats. They're in the lower bowl,
Yeah.
so
They better not fucking blow it.
They're not, man. That's Memphis.
God, that would be a long drive home if they blow it.
Even though it's only like an hour and a half, it would still be a long drive.
Yeah, it's gonna be an hour and a half just dwelling on that. How do you
Well,
lose?
just go in there and say "Go Tigers," and no, by default, if you just say "Go Tigers," then you'll win. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Go Tigers. No colors,
Yeah.
no nothing. Just go Tigers.
OJ, you know what's going to end up happening, right? You know what's going to end up happening. If they're going to go, the Memphis fans are going to go to high school. They're going to be like, "Let's play basketball." They're going to be like, "Oh wait, we don't have another sport that we can play, right? Let's play basketball and football." Yeah. Actually, Memphis has got a decent baseball program too, but
Yeah, all the southern states do.
yeah. All right. You know what? Hold on. We got to get to the sign off here. So, because I said this like a half hour ago at this point in time, as we're just rambling, or at least I'm
2
rambling.
hours later.
2 hours later. All right. Anyways, listeners, we appreciate it. As always, check us out next week. We continue our silliness and chaotic craziness as I get a new notebook to fill out new notes. And keep
Session
also
37.
It's going to be crazy, though. Also, to that, almost like we are, guys, by the way, OJ, Adam, we are 5 weeks away from our 1-year anniversary.
Oh,
That
my
is
God.
freaking nuts. That is awesome. I'm very excited
You
about
better
that. That's
plan something
awesome,
big
though.
for
That's
that.
great. Yeah, exactly. I'll think of something. Maybe we'll have a bunch of guest stars or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll have my dogs talk and do the show. We'll have all of our dogs
go
do
for
the
it.
sport of the podcast anyway.
At least
But
you'll
anyways,
be able to
listeners-
get them to do it.
I say that we get
Exactly right.
I think we should get Travis and Jason Kelsey on, and they can be our guest. So that
Oh,
way they
we're gonna
and,
merge
you know,
the hometown losers to the New Heights podcast. Boom.
Yeah, the new
Thank
I
you.
was gonna say we could have a mashup, the New Heights / Hometown Losers
Travis,
podcast.
if you don't want Taylor Swift, I will take her.
Oh,
I was gonna
my
say it's
God.
gonna be between you. It's gonna say between you and Trav are gonna have to fight over her. So good luck.
He's gonna win that
Maybe you could be one album and he could be the next or whatever after
There it is.
the breakup. There you go.
album 87 to album number 14. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
What
all
I
right.
always,
Let's get to it.
what you've always dreamed about. Anyway.
All right, listeners, once again, I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. You can check us out next week on the Hometown Losers podcast. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.
This is OJ, and I wanted to thank you guys for listening to the equivalent of 3 dudes sitting at a bar talking about sports. We'll catch you next week on the Hometown Losers.